everyone. Welcome to At Home with Sally. I'm Sally Clarkson, and I have the biggest privilege in the world to be with so many friends from all over the world who join me every week to listen to my stories, inspiration, biblical encouragement, and I am just so glad that you're here today. Thanks so much for joining me. Hello, my friends. How are you? Oh my goodness, if only you could be right here in my little house. It has been raining cats and dogs today, but I am warm inside, had a great meal with my with sweet precious ones in my home, and I realized I needed to send this introduction. The podcast that you're going to hear in just a few minutes is actually something that I recorded for my membership. And one of my friends said, you should give everybody a taste of what you're doing for the membership. So every single month I do a new Bible study. Sometimes I do a series. I've done a series on Proverbs and on Hebrews, different things. And so tonight I did a podcast about seasons. And to kind of give us confidence, if something's in Scripture, if it's in nature, if I can read about it and know that, okay, I might be in a hard season, but this season will pass. So I gave an overview of a biblical view of seasons, and this is what I did for my membership this month. Our membership, Life with Sally, is filled with talks, Bible studies, conference tapes, reviews of children's books, reviews of women's books, recipes, stories about musicians and artists, and every single month an Awakening Wonder unit with so many books you can't even count them all. So anyway, I thought maybe my friends would like to hear an example of a kind of Bible study that I do, and this is the one that I did for November. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you're blessed today. And it kind of goes along with what the podcast I did on Monday. Thanks so much for joining me. Hello, my friends and my members to Life with Sally. I'm so happy you're here. I have always dreamed of having a place where women could feel loved, find peace, encouragement, delight, and how I wish all of you could be in my house having a cup of tea or a warm bowl of soup or some kind of time of friendship with candles lit and music on and sitting around the table with me. But just picture that that's my heart as I share this with you today. I actually have been quite touched this past few weeks. I kind of wondered, Lord, what in the world do you have me doing here? Should I take this visa? Should I pursue this? Clay and I were talking about it and praying about it because he needed to stay home to take care of some things in our house that just need doing. You have to keep places up, you know. And so it mentioned automatic for a little while separation in order for me to take advantage of this very generous visa that I was offered. But I had I had one of my groups on Monday night, and they crowded in my kitchen. My kitchen is actually the biggest place I have for being able to have a Bible study in, not my living room. And just hearing from all of these precious women, their burdens that they're carrying, they're all either working hard or married to somebody who is working hard in some ways, carrying lots of burdens, lonely, isolated, have lots of issues, many people from all over the world. And I just was touched by this season of my life, thinking, how could I ever have imagined that at my age I would have a new adventure in a new country where I get to disciple, mentor, love, befriended by them. And so I was wanting to talk a little bit about seasons today, seasons of our lives, because I think as I look back in my lifetime, and even now, I don't think I had a perspective of the fact that seasons have the things that describe them, the essential elements that describe them. Seasons all have a certain baggage that they carry with them. And seasons are not only in nature, but I think God puts things in nature to speak to us about our lives. And I look at my own life and I see that going back, I first of all was single for a number of years, wondering, will I ever get married? And then I became engaged and had my first, blush of marriage, and had to learn to adjust to that. And that was a season. And then after that followed children, babies, sleepless nights, ear infections, moving, wondering if I was ever going to make it through. And then followed the I call them the golden years of elementary school, where everyone is eventually potty trained, and um, and then most of them are learning to read, which is a miracle in and of itself, and just the innocence and the vibrancy with which young children live. And then follows, of course, the hormones of pre-adolescence and then adolescence. And some of my children cried all the way through adolescence, and some of them were angry. One child would say, "Okay, I'll empty the dishwasher, boo hoo, boo hoo." And then the other one, maybe who came through, who went, "Why does everybody always have to eat and make dirty dishes?" And with a big variety of personalities in between. And of course, I love my children, and yet they are children with personalities and issues just like their mom and dad. But that was a season. And then the season of launching your children into the world, and it's a pretty perilous world, and sometimes your children might even criticize you. Why did you do this? Our family never did that, even though you gave them your life and your blood. And your children are entering a world of temptation and people who are different than them. And then they continue to grow, and it's issues of jobs and of finances and of courting and dating and trying to find a spouse. And that's a whole another season that we have to go through. And sometimes it's fraught with challenges because of the fallen world our children have entered into and their desire to be loved, maybe by the person that you didn't think that they would be loved by, or making different decisions than you would have made, or saying, I don't really trust God right now because I look at Christians and they're so hypocritical, and we did a lot of things that were wrong. That is a season. That is a legitimate season that many of us go through. And then your children get married, have babies, and have financial needs or whatever it is. All I mean is, I don't think that when I first entered into my life as as an adult and a wife and a mom and a person in ministry and a person who had a story to live, I don't think I took into account that seasons are a normal rhythm that God had planned already to be through with us, not through with us through every single season. He planned to be there during the easy times and the hard times. We just look at seasons as they are. We see spring is the vibrant, the time of life, and things are blooming and things seem positive and wonderful. And then every year has this area, as I talked about this on my video. Summer is a time for planting, a time of warmth, a time of watching things grow, believing that we can plant things that grow. We plant a lot in the summer. And then there's the fall, where things have the most beautiful color in the world. The leaves, the landscape, the beauty is just so amazing. And yet it promises that things are dying, that the leaves will eventually fall into piles and become hummus, or become something for the land. And then we have winter, and winter is a time when it appears that nothing is growing. All the fruit is gone, and there's cold, and there's storms. And I really believe that God wanted us to be wise and stand back and say, "Oh, okay, this is how life is." Jesus planted so many truths about life in nature and in the way that nature reacts to people. And so I wanted to talk about that because I'm going through my own seasons. It's different with me with every child. All of my children have gone through difficult, challenging times as adults where they have to figure out what in the world is going on, what is going on in their country, what is going on in other countries, what do they believe, and so on and so forth. And all of my children have had to go through times where they had to wrestle with the fact that we are living in a fallen world. And what does that mean? It means challenges and difficulty and disappointment and broken relationships. And guess what? God has called me as a mom to live through all of these seasons with all of my people. And I've learned as I go through the seasons to say, what do you have in this season, God? What do you want me to accomplish now? What attitude do you want me to have? How can I worship you? What can I learn? Because if I am in these seasons, no matter how difficult they are, and if I say, I know you are here, and I know you have wisdom to give, and I know that if I can access this wisdom and learn and strain and stretch in the direction of learning to be content, even though I have fear or difficulty or all my needs aren't met, I know then that I will have other people I can minister to and encourage and help because of the way that you companioned me through my different seasons. And so, my friends, I hope that makes sense because as an older woman, I want you to know that, yes, there are times when you're disappointed. That would be the winter seasons of life. There are times when things change. And sometimes people that you were the closest to or had the highest hopes for, or the job that seemed perfect, or whatever it is, the house that you loved. It's a fall time. It's a time when things go away. It's a time of dying. And so I just wanted to go with you through a few verses today on seasons and what they look like and how we can go through them while trusting God. And I have learned it's easier for me. I have 4 children, and so the first child that I went through with things was Sarah, and she had her own ups and downs, her own challenges, her own things that caused me to worry. Is she going to be okay? Is her faith going to be okay? And then Joel had his own journey and story, similar, but with Joel, I became more accustomed to thinking, okay, we will work through this. This is a season. This is not a permanent thing. Life can change. I'm going to be faithful, God. I'm not going to be as panicky. And then there came Nathan, and Nathan had his own large issues and new issues because every child holds new issues and some heartbreaks and some things for me to help him bear with his own unique story. And so now with Joy, Joy has her own story and she has difficulties. But what the seasons have taught me is that, number one, there are seasons, that my children have to go through seasons and growth, and that God will be faithful regardless of the ending of the story of the season. If I don't see everything I thought I should have, or that the relationships with my sweet ones would be exactly like I thought, or they would choose the job or the spouse or the life that I maybe thought what I would have done, I have learned that I can be gracious, I can be strong, I can be content, I can be trusting because God has never abandoned me. And so that's what I kind of hope, even if you're in the beginning season of marriage or a job or with children, settle in, take a deep breath. God is there. There are lessons to learn. There is fruit to be had. And there are ways that you will be wiser when it is over. I was thinking today, I go out for my walks early in the morning. If I don't get in at least a couple of miles early in the morning, then I'm already losing the day because it's so much more tempting just to think I'll do it all tomorrow. So I was out early this morning, and you'll see some of my pictures this week, but there was this gorgeous old tree. It's huge. I can't even, I'm not very good at saying how big something was, 50 feet, 100 feet tall. I don't know. It was large, and the trunk was large, and the branches spread out across this whole field. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, oh my goodness, what a reflection of seasons. This particular tree had lots of beautiful bright gold leaves that were kind of raining down on the ground. But I thought, this tree wasn't born large with great shade, with great beauty. It started out as a sapling and then it grew stronger. And I thought, I want to imagine the generations of people that this tree has seen, that it has grown through, the storms, the drought, the different ways that this tree literally experienced life as it was growing in the direction of becoming the gorgeous and beautiful tree that it is today. And I think that when we start out, we are mere saplings, we are toddlers, so to speak. But when we go through the storms and the droughts and the summers and the rainy seasons and the good times, that God is in the process of shaping us, of helping us, of molding us through all of the seasons, and we can trust Him. That wisdom was with Jesus at creation. It tells us in Proverbs 8 and Proverbs 9. I was ever His companion. We read in Proverbs 8. Wisdom is built into the whole roots of creation, the design of elements. That, for instance, the fact that we all do have unique fingerprints, that we all have unique DNA, unique personalities, shows us that God is interested in diversity and in kind of a different kind of music or dance for each person. We can read that into nature. The fact that there is order and rhythm to life, the seasons, the morning, noon, and evening every single day, the way that plants are designed, the way that molecules are designed, atoms are designed, we see that God is a God of great order and design. And so I love those books that help you to apply these incredible applications of what nature tells us about God. But what I really wanted to focus on was what the seasons teach us about life. And wherever you are, breathe in peace. You will see God work. You will see His faithfulness in your life. And so I wanted to read to you just a few of the verses for this week, because I might even share this particular podcast on my real podcast so that people can know what kinds of things we talk about in my membership. But anyway, let me go to some of these amazing verses, because when you read them, you begin to see that God had in mind that seasons would help us to learn how to deal with relationships. Relationships have seasons. Marriages have seasons. You know, I'm at a point with Clay. We are very different people. We've had different times of conflict, different times of grace and beauty. But at this point in our lives, we have developed such a long-term understanding, 41 years, a long-term partnership. And we both know what we can count on each other for. I know that Clay is going to organize my life. He's going to pay my bills. He's going to find out what the council requires here in Oxford for me to pay for taxes. He takes care of details. I take care of the beauty and the relationship, and calling him and encouraging our whole family emotionally. And yet we both do everything. But what I mean is, as I look through the seasons, I think we have a heritage. We have raised all these teenagers. We have moved together. We have worked in ministry together. We have gone through hard times and good times together. Our 41 years has a legacy. And so If you can live through your seasons trusting God and looking for wisdom and waiting patiently for what each season will hold, you will find a value that you could never have had if you didn't persevere and push through that season. I want to read to you Ecclesiastes 3 1 through 8. You know this verse, but it's so wonderful when we think about what is on the heart of God, that there are seasons. For everything there is a season, a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born, in other words, a time to be a tiny little dependent infant who has to have us feed them, a time to die. All of us will die. Our families will die, our children will die, our parents will die, and we can give death dignity. We can say this is a time of entering in to the eternal. But to accept it and to make it as pleasant as possible, I've lived through the death of all four. Actually, I didn't know Clay's father; he died before I met him. But through our parents and through one of my siblings, there is a time to die, and we value people after they die, and celebrate them and put to rest any scars or hurts that we had. There's a time to plant. I just got through planting a bunch of bulbs in my soil here, and even in a couple of pots, because I want to force these beautiful bulbs to come up. There's a time to plant, and that's in the fall. If you're going to do the bulbs that I chose, they will thrive more. And there's a time to pluck up what is planted. I have a plan that when, God willing, my bulbs come to fruition, I'm going to let Lillian pick them and make a bouquet because that's what she loves to do. There's a time to kill. I'll leave that to you on your own. There are times in this world of war, and that's what Solomon was living in, the reality of having his country attacked and people having to fight, and whoever. I'm not a conflict-oriented person by heart, so that's a hard one for me. There's a time to heal. If possible, don't hold on to grudges. Don't hold on to shame. Don't hold on to bitterness, because today is a time to heal. Blessed are the peacemakers. Don't hold grudges forever. No one is perfect. Everyone has a context. Learn to heal. Give yourself permission. Give other people permission. Live into the healing. Let this be a time of healing. There's a time to break down and a time to build up. There is a time when you have to break down all of the places that you have built. There's a time for houses to be cleared. There's a time for new houses to come there, or new traditions to come upon a church, breaking down the old, building what is new, or new traditions to come upon a family, breaking down what might have worked before but needs to change now because we are in a different season. And now's the time to build up. There's a time to weep. It is okay to weep about things that are sad and things that break your heart. Jesus wept. We know that the heart of God broke over the Israelites refusing to be with him. There's a time to laugh. Let laughter. I had so much fun. I put something on Instagram this week. I saw a seahorse in my coffee. I saw swans kissing. And I saw angels dancing at a sunset on the Thames River near my house when the light was sparkling. Laugh, giggle, have fun, be fun. There is a time to mourn. I feel pain in my heart. I feel riveted by the terrible things that are happening in the Ukraine because it was such a close neighbor to Poland where I lived. I feel sorry for my Russian friends who are heartbroken about it. I feel sorry for any of the storms, the death. I am very sensitive to people dying, fruitless deaths, just sudden things that destroy houses, neighborhoods from storms. There is a time to mourn these things and to say, that is really sad. This world is a sad place. This world is a dark place separated from God. But there's also a time to dance, my friends. We dance at a wedding. We dance at birthdays. We dance Angels dance when people come to know Christ. Don't be afraid to dance. We are made to dance and to sing and to rejoice and to celebrate and to play games and to do sports. There's a time for that, and it's to God's glory that we live into that ability. There's a time to cast away stones, and there's a time to gather stones together. There's a time to embrace, time to reach out, hug, embrace, touch a person that needs the embrace. Maybe you need to be embraced. And there is a time to refrain from embracing when embracing would create more conflict. Basically, Solomon, the wisest person that ever lived, was saying, when you look at the spectrum of a lifetime, there are so many seasons, and yet it is a part of the place where God delights to enter into our lives to carry us with him. We just look at Genesis 8:22. It's right at the very beginning. It says, while the earth remains, that would indicate that maybe it's not going to be exactly like this forever. There is seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. In other words, God has put in all of these places, God has put in seasons. And he knows what those seasons are. I wanted to read you another verse that it talks about seasons. I never realized how many places I was going to be able to find to research this, but Galatians 6 verse 9, and this is an application to wherever you are right now. Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap what you are planting. If you are planting good and beautiful and kind things in due season, we will reap if we do not give up. Don't stop planting seeds of faith, seeds of delight, seeds of goodness. And there's another one that, let me just read you this verse, Psalm 104, verse 19. It says, he made the moon to mark the seasons and the sun to know its time for setting. The moon revolves, we see it, I'm not going to go into the whole description of the stars and the sun and rotation and all that, but the moon is made to mark our seasons. And then one of my very, 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 very favorite verses, it says, Psalm 1, how blessed is the man who does not walk in the way of the wicked, nor stand in the path of sinners, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. Okay, so this is the blessed man. And it says, a blessed man who delights in the law of God, he is like a tree firmly planted by streams of water that yield its fruit in its season. There is a season in which you will be more fruitful in your life than any other time. And its leaf does not wither, and in all that he does, he prospers. But isn't that interesting? There's so many more verses. Jesus talked about the fig tree and the leaves and how it would tell us. It says, from the fig tree, Matthew 24, verse 32, learn its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts out leaves, you know that summer is near. Again, Jesus put into nature, we could watch the leaves of the tree and know that summer was near. I'm going to talk to you or mention something that Albert Camus said because I found it to be captivating for my life. I want you to think for a moment about winter. What are winter seasons like? It's deceptive because it's cold, it's lonely. We stay indoors a lot, depending on what climate you're living in. In the depth of winter, things die. They don't appear to be alive. And yet that is when roots are going deep. And he says, in the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. Isn't that beautiful? That's how I want to be. I want to be that no matter when I am a season of darkness or winter or cold, I want there to still be in my heart, I believe summer is coming. I believe that God will show himself. I believe in the light that will take over all of the darkness in the world. Isn't that beautiful, my friends? And so I want to end. I try to give enough verses and in my recordings for my membership that there will be a lot to think about and apply and write down. I think if you've been encouraged by this, get your journal, grab your journal and write down what season are you in? What lesson is there for you in this season? Is this a season of persevering, of time to hold on to hope? Is this a season of celebration? Enjoy the gifts that you have. Enjoy this moment. Is this a season of mourning? Understand through mourning that mourning will not last forever. Mourning. But anyway, I wanted to end on Paul. Paul is one of my heroes because I feel like I've had a life very much like him. I've been persecuted, oppressed, shipwrecked. We've had lots of stuff in our lives. And so this is at the end of Paul's life when he says that by the end of the chapter in 2 Timothy, Paul says, and there is laid up a crown for me and also for all those who have been faithful, who have approved his coming. And so this is Paul's advice to young Timothy, a young man. Timothy, perhaps a lot of you are there. He says, preach the word, and I'm going to say, hold on to the word. Be ready in season and out of season. In other words, be ready to proclaim the word, to hold on to it, to believe in it when it has the season of blooming and when it's out of season and no one wants to hear it. Reprove, rebuke, and exhort with complete patience and teaching. My friends, if you are in a difficult season, hold fast to God. Rest. Be at peace. Cultivate, dwell in the land and cultivate faithfulness. If you are in a season of rejoicing, share your joy with others. Give your love freely to others. Embrace others. Whatever you do, live at this moment with patience. And it says in teaching, and I'm going to say with faith, because if Christianity, if Christ is true, if his life was given in such a way that we could actually benefit from his wisdom, his life, his forgiveness, his goodness, then we need to be patient and live into the seasons in which he is leading us and teaching us and taking us. We gain wisdom. We're like the big tree. We move in the direction of wisdom and of light and of beauty the older we get as we store up the wisdom of God, where we might create shade and life and beauty for others who are earlier on their season of life. But anyway, I hope that made sense to you. It's been of great encouragement to me as I've been reading through these things. But I just want to pray for you today. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for all of these precious ones who are listening, who care, who want to follow you, who want to understand life. They might be in a season of darkness and think, what is happening and why is this happening? But Lord, through all of history, all of the peoples have been through similar seasons, times of war, times of peace, times of love, times of enmity. Lord, bless these precious ones with that sense of rest that comes from knowing that you are in this season with us, that you have wisdom to teach us, that you have experience for us to grow in, that you have spiritual muscle for us to develop, that we might share that out of generosity with all of those who are behind us. The kind of wisdom and encouragement and hope that we have always needed ourselves and maybe didn't always have. Lord, bless and bless and bless these precious ones today and cause them to accept and rest and dwell in the season that you have in their lives with patience and with faithfulness. We love you and we pray in Jesus' name, amen. Well, my friends on my podcast, At Home with Sally, and my friends in my membership, because this recording was originally made for my membership, for all of the people who every single month they have a download of all sorts of resources, talks, posters to print out, books to recommend, recipes, encouragement from biblical conferences where I spoke over the years, and then a Bible study every month just like this. So thank you so much, my wonderful members who support us by being a part of this community. And I pray that all of you who have kind of peeked in to our membership today, that you will also be blessed and encouraged by this Bible study. Have a really wonderful week. Bye-bye. I hope you've enjoyed our time together today and that you'll join me next week. Be sure to look for more inspiration on my blog at sallyclarkson.com. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.